A parliamentary committee has recommended that the medium of instruction in technical and non-technical higher education institutes such as the IITs in Hindi-speaking states should be Hindi and in other parts of India their respective local language. It's also recommended that Hindi should be one of the official languages of the United Nations. In its 11th report presented to President Droupadi Murmu last month, the Committee of Parliament on Official Languages, which is headed by the Home Minister, recommended that local languages must be given preference over all states. In fact, the Deputy Chairperson of the committee has told the Press Trust of India, and I quote, A category states that Hindi should be given a respectable place in so-called A category states, and it should be used 100%. These are the Hindi heartlands, as it were. The medium of instruction in IITs and central universities and Kendriya Vidyalayas in Hindi-speaking states should be Hindi, and in other parts of India their respective local language. And what are the reasons why this is being done? It's being done apparently because English is seen to be a foreign language, and that India needs to do away with this colonial practice. NDTV Sam Daniel joins us for more on this. Sam, in Tamil Nadu, the entire issue of language is very, very sensitive, but over here it appears that local languages, so in the case of Tamil Nadu, Tamil will be preferred for higher education centers, technical institutes as well. This being the case, why do parties in the state still have a problem, the ADMK and the DMK?
Vishnu, at the moment, the state government, particularly Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, presumes that that report talks only as Hindi to be the official language in these higher education institutions run by the central government and not as local languages. So his strong statement saying don't impose another language war on us is out of the presumption that the central government is imposing Hindi alone. We'll have to wait and watch whether they will change their stand if they understand that the report recommends local language as well. But when I spoke to a few DMK spokespersons who are not representing the government, they say even that could be backfiring. They cite the example of IIT Madras, for instance, and it's a higher education institute where children or students from all across the country come. And when you impose Tamil to be the medium of instruction, he says it's going to lead to large-scale confusion because people from other states, how do you expect them to come and follow science in Tamil if they are introduced to Tamil only at this level? So we'll have to wait and see what that particular report exactly talks about, whether is it only Hindi or local language as well. Sure. But presuming it's Hindi, the Tamil Nadu government clearly opposes it tooth and nail, saying that in the 60s, Tamil Nadu opposed it severely. Many had lost their lives, and based on that, the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had assured that Hindi will not be imposed as long as non-Hindi speaking states want English to be the linked language. Sure. And he also talks in terms of how this could lead to a policy of divide and rule, considering those Hindi speakers to be first-class citizens and others to be second-class citizens. And he also says, taking into account the present development of science and the technological advantage we have, the government should in fact think in terms of making all the languages under 8th schedule to be the official linked languages, so that all languages, he says, will have equal rights, not just Hindi. Vishnu.
All right, thanks Sam very much for joining us. We've got a couple of guests on this. A. Sarvanan, the spokesperson of the DMK, is with us. We are joined by Ramchandra Rao, the former MLC of the BJP in Telangana. Mr. Rao, let me come to you first. What was the reason of making these suggestions, in the context of higher education, in a world which is increasingly united when it comes to knowledge being shared around the world? Why did we have to push a local language or Hindi when English seemed to be doing just fine?
No, firstly, we have to understand that there is no imposition of any language or any state. As I have seen the new education policy, it has stressed on the medium of instruction, be the local language, the regional language, for the primary level. As far as higher education is concerned, there is no imposition of Hindi in central institutions. The report is still not out, but as far as we know, there is no imposition of Hindi because the government of India and as the BJP also respects all the languages.
I'm not saying that there is an imposition of Hindi. I'm saying there is an imposition of a language in higher centers of education right? For example, the IITs in a language other than English. I'm just trying to ask you, is it practical for us to change this thing when it seems to have done us so well for all of these decades? I'm not getting into the language part of it. I'm asking, why replace English in higher educational institutes?
English is not being replaced nor Hindi being imposed. That's what I'm telling. It is only a recommendation committee which has been sent to the president, and what are those recommendations we do not know. But anyhow, this Hindi will be never imposed on the non-Hindi state. That's why the categories of the states have been made.
So then let me give you a quote, sir, and this is the deputy chairperson, the BJD leader, Bhartruhari Matlab, who is the deputy chairperson, Mahatab, who is the deputy chairperson of the committee, and this is what she's actually been quoted as saying: English is a foreign language and we should do away with this colonial practice. English is an alien language, we want it to be eliminated, right? It should be replaced by Hindi and other regional languages. The recommendations are as per the new education policy, which is correct, which has emphasized imparting education in regional and Hindi languages equally. I'm just trying to say, without getting into the entire issue of imposition of Hindi, which is not what this debate is really about, why should we be doing this? Because when it comes to science, when it comes to engineering, there are advantages of English.
Yeah, definitely. Now English is an international language, and we believe that English cannot be done away at this juncture, because we believe that medium of education in many universities are in English. We don't want to replace the English to Hindi. That's a different thing. Under what context the recommendations have been made, at what level it has to be made. But anyhow, Hindi is an option. Anywhere sure. It is in all the places where the other than Hindi language are there, Hindi has been only an option. It was never an imposition. Even now, the recommendation, whatever it is there, it is only a recommendation. It is not.
No, I understand that, but I know it's a recommendation, but I think it's well worth debating the recommendations, at least what we know of it. Mr. Saravanan, this isn't Tamil versus English necessarily, but the other way of looking at this entire debate from a, let us say, a perspective of many people in Tamil Nadu is that it says very clearly that regional languages will need to be promoted. So therefore, there are so many educational institutes, higher centers of learning in Tamil Nadu. If this proposal is to go ahead, would it be okay to have Tamil as the central language? Would that be something that your party favors?
Yeah, the central theme of this debate is to do away with English. That is what the committee that is recommending. If you look at how everybody else perceives this, see, everybody who is, if I'm speak Tamil is my mother tongue. Any other language is a foreign language to me, whatever that language may be. Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit, everything, English is a foreign language. But why do we want English in the first place? Because English is a leveler. And that is why our leader and the Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has come out and said this will divide the country. Because everybody who is not however qualified I may be, however educated I may be, whatever training I may get, I can never compete with the native speaker of Hindi. I can never compete with someone whose mother tongue is Hindi. So when you are going to replace Hindi, English is a leveler. So English is foreign to someone speaking Hindi, English is foreign to someone speaking Tamil.
So English is a link language because it has always been a link language, is what you are trying to say, right?
Yes. When we have this recommendations which is going to be imposed, or the recommendations are going to be done, do away, they're going to implement these recommendations, what will happen is, it effectively pushes away English. When English is pushed away, every non-speaker of Hindi will be treated as a second-class citizen. This is the allegation leveled by our Chief Minister. We are asking, why such a recommendation in such troubled times? Ever since the BJP has come to power, it has exposed its true color that it is a Hindi majoritarian party. Every time, every single thing is pushing, making us think, and their actions clearly prove that Hindi is being imposed, it is being shoved down our throats. For example, every year 60 to 80 crores is spent for Hindi teachers, 600 crores for promotion of Sanskrit, $800,000 for promotion of Hindi in the United Nations. What about the other languages? Every language is an official language.
No, I understand that, but
Mr.
Saravanan, as I'm sure you would appreciate, there's a nuance over here to today's discussion, and it's not Hindi versus Tamil for once. It's about doing away with English. And Mr. Rao, here's the point. We are in our history and in the current context in a phase where so many, the government has said that, let's get rid of colonial institutions, let's get rid of colonial practices, let's rename Rajpath as Kartavya Path, let us change some or think about changing some of the traditions of the armed forces. Let us have a national war memorial where the Amar Jawan Jyoti, which used to be at India Gate, is extinguished and shifted. Why? Because we don't want it necessarily to be under a colonial legacy. What I'm trying to say is that are we as a country less confident? Aren't we a confident country? So 75 years after independence, that we have to get rid of English. It seems to be working so well. How is our Indianness challenged by English in so many contexts?
No, we don't want to do away with English. English, I said, it will be international language. It is a linked language to many languages. However, we respect all the regional language. That's what we said. We have divided the states in the A, B and C category, and the imposition of Hindi will not be there.
No, I understand that, sir, but you're missing my point. That's clear that Hindi will not be imposed. We are not debating that. If you look at what the deputy chairperson, and this is a PTI report of this committee, has said, English is an alien language. We want it eliminated. English is a foreign language. We should do away with this colonial practice. It's something which has worked. I mean, there is no end to doing away with colonial practices, is what I'm trying to say. Shall we start destroying buildings? Shall we start destroying, I don't know, the Indian railways? Shall we start destroying our bureaucracy because these are all colonial vestiges?
One thing I would like to make clear, that anti-Hindi agitation in Tamil Nadu was not during the BJP government. It was even earlier also, it has happened, and when BJP was not in power. So Mr. Sarvanan's statement that whenever BJP comes, it is trying to impose. As far as this English, doing away of English is there. Though English is a foreign language, English has always been a linked language and will continue to do so. It is only a recommendation, and what context and whose recommendation the vice chairmen are recommended, we have to see. That's what I am telling. It is not imposition right now. This is pending with the President of India, and many people in this country, they don't want the English to be to be taken away. English will always remain as a linked language, but official language, there are 22 official languages in the 8th schedule, and they all will be respected along with Hindi and other languages, and English also will remain. As far as United Nations is concerned,
that's a welcome.
Hindi is largely spoken in this country, that has been recommended as the official language in United Nations. So we need not get into controversy in this area just because there were some recommendations in the language committee.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. And I think...
Vishnu, can I just come in? Come in, Vishnu. Yeah. See, the timing of these recommendations, it's a committee which is recommending things for the pan-India. So the recommendations are absurd. They are trying to do away with the pluralism of this country. We cannot undermine the importance of English. If this proposal has to be accepted over a course of time, the idea is to remove English as a linked language. They may say so many things, they may assure, but the idea is this, because it is Mr. Amit Shah who said that Hindi should be the language that we should use to communicate with each other.
So Mr. Sarvanan, what you're saying is English is removed as a linked language, then Hindi will become the linked language, which is something that you don't want. That's your worry, Mr. Sarvanan.
You are right, Vishnu, because when Hindi becomes a linked language, then every non-native speaker of Hindi will become a second-class citizen. He will be treated as such because he will
Mr.
not
Rao,
have
respond to that.
kind of
His
competence.
worry, because Mr. Sarvanan keeps coming back to Hindi, is that English goes, Hindi will become the linked language, which for cultural reasons besides anything else is not acceptable to him.
Absolutely.
What we like to say is that Hindi has been our national language. And if it becomes a linked language, why should we say that we're using Hindi?
One second, Mr. Sarvanan, I'll come to you after that. Let Mr. Rao finish.
It is not so. It is not so. Hindi has been a linked language in many states, and whenever the people from other states visit to Hindi speaking, they speak only Hindi. Maybe a rickshaw wala and auto wala can't understand English. So Hindi has always been in the official language. We have to respect it. There is a national language, largest speaking language in the country. But that doesn't mean that we are doing away with English. That also we should remember. And doing away with the English or speaking of Hindi doesn't make one state person as a second-class citizen. We have a 22 languages in official language 8th schedule. We respect all the language, even respect English also.
Okay.
whenever we go to abroad, now we have in a global village where English cannot be done away with. We are aware of that and we are conscious of that fact that we cannot do away with English because that is medium of communication for many. Like
Got
we
it,
also
sir.
have.
Got it, Mr. Rao. Let Mr. Saravanan make this point. I need to wrap this up. Mr. Saravanan, your point, yes.
Yeah, Vishnu, this is what we call as majoritarianism. Just because this language is spoken by the large number of people within the country, give it importance. This is what is majoritarianism, and that is what we don't want in a democratic country. That is not what we don't want in a pluralistic society. And when we speak of this English, the economic importance, India has become a superpower now only because we had embraced English. If we had not embraced English, India would not have had this kind of a spectacular growth which we claim proudly as ours. And when we speak, when they say we are not imposing Hindi, English will be there, let them name one scheme which is in any other language other than Hindi. What do we call this? This is imposition. Last 3 days back, Staff Selection Commission examinations, it was only in English and Hindi. So that the people who are aware, who is excellent only in the regional languages, will not get a chance.
All right, Mr. Saravanan. Okay, I get the point of both of you. Mr. Rao, I'll have to leave it over there. I'd like to thank you both very much for joining us.